Magic in the Morning with Hadaway. Now, later on, you'll hear a new song that resamples some of the music and lines from that. I think it's Ava Max. That'll be coming up a little bit later on. We mentioned a weekly chat, Good Policies, with Mike Barrett in the studio from Barrett Insurance Agency. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Good morning. I love how everyone's remaking all the songs from our generation because they've run out of good stuff to make.
Well, my take, and they're good songs, but my take is on it. You know, if you like a song from that era, just make a new one.
I know, huh?
Anyway.
All I can see is Will Ferrell in that movie. You know, the brother, I forget, Chris Kattan, I think, was in it with him when they do the head thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
he was in everything.
Yeah.
All right, so for the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about some of the important intricacies in the insurance industry. And, I mean, it's always a common denominator when we talk. Like if somebody's getting married, obviously that changes your insurance needs. If you have kids, if the kids move out of the house, if you acquire something, there's always particulars individual to each individual.
Yeah.
So our theme has been the details, and we had a really good thread going last week, but
there's more to talk about.
We ran out of time.
Yeah.
So in this week's edition of Good Policies, we continue with the details, and I think that we were towards the end of our conversation talking about some of the important details in the world of auto insurance.
Yeah, the one that I think I forgot to talk about last week, and you watch, somebody will tell me, no, you did, but I'm pretty sure I forgot. What we get a lot is either a phone call or an email or even a text, because we get correspondence that way as well, saying, hey, I sold the red car. That's it.
Okay, so how you getting to work?
Well, that's fine. I mean, if you sold the red car, maybe you have 3 or 4 cars, but what is the red car? We only know the vehicles by the VINs, not by the colors. So we need the year, make, model, or VIN, or just the VIN, or just the year, make, and model, whatever. If you have 2 of the same year, make, and models, give us the VIN. Make sure we're verifying so that we have the details of exactly what vehicle it is. All right. So let's go back to it. I sold the red vehicle. All right. Well, the detail we need is what vehicle. Don't tell me red. I need make, model, or VIN. And when did you sell it? A lot of people don't think about that, and it's easy not to, right? But let's say, for example, I sold my truck. All right. So, I sold my truck. Well, when did you sell it is the big question, because that's when you need to take it off. Let's say I sold it today, which is May 23rd. I don't know that it's necessarily good practice for the policy to take the truck off today because I sold it today. Let's say I sold it this morning at 8:30. Well, from midnight to 8:30, I owned the vehicle. So maybe it's better for me to remove it effective tomorrow because it'll come off at 12:01 a.m. So, it allows me to ensure that I had coverage through the final day of owning that vehicle, which is not a bad thing to do. Now, I recommend that strongly.
Now, is that for peace of mind?
It's, God forbid, you never know in this litigious world what could transpire unexpectedly. And why not just have that vehicle for one final day to just make sure that you have the proper coverage through the total ownership, especially if it's a vehicle that had a loan on it, you're turning a lease in or something like that. Now, one of the areas where that's not necessarily such a big deal is if you're trading, right? Because we're just replacing a vehicle. So that one companies are going to really hold the line to. But when it comes to full removal, I tend to err on the side of caution and do it for the next calendar day.
All right. So worst case scenario, you sold the truck because at 3 o'clock in the morning coming home, you took out a mailbox and somebody's Ring camera video caught it.
Yeah.
You sold the truck at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah. I happen to have no damage to it or very little damage that wasn't noticeable. And boom, I'm on my way, or say the vehicle had something happen to it and you didn't know. Maybe the catalytic converter, or, there's a million and one things that can happen there. So details and erring on the side of caution, those are the 2 things that I love to preach. When it comes to other things, let's go to homeowners, for example. Hey, I put a new roof on.
Well, that's going to help. But
what kind of roof?
Well,
when did you put it on?
We talked about solar panels. What about heat pumps? What about things along those lines?
Yeah, I got a dog. What kind of dog? I have chickens. Okay. How many and what are they for? Are they just for you, or are you taking the eggs and selling them to others? And if that's the case, well, then we certainly would want to kind of have a conversation about your liability exposure of selling eggs to others, because you're receiving compensation for selling a product. So you'd want to have some liability protection there that wouldn't automatically be there. So, these are the examples of why details matter. Or my daughter got her permit. Well, good. what's her date of birth? What's her full name? Does she have her permit number? That's good to have. And not to scare people with children who have permits, because the good news is you don't get any charge for having a permitted operator. You don't even have to list them necessarily with most companies. We just put it in your file. But say, hey, my son got his license today. Okay, I need your son's name and date of birth and driver's license number, because at that point we will need to add them. So, and it's because people are busy and people, they want to make sure they're getting the information to the people who need to know. So they're getting a quick message out, and I completely get it. But the best way to do it, the one I see a lot is, hey, I'm buying a camper. People never realize how much detail we need on a camper, because some companies are looking for length. They're looking for the number of slide outs. Is it a fifth wheel, a tow behind? What is it? We need to know the year, make, model, VIN, and value. There's a lot of things that play there. So it's just not a bad idea. The more details you can provide, the more effectively and efficiently you will get what you need out of it for the insurance.
All right, so let's go back to the example you used with one of your children getting their driver's license.
Yeah.
Now, when we were younger, it was common practice that parents would go out and find a $300, $400, $500 car for Johnny or Joan, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to have the biggest, you're not going to put full coverage on it, yada, yada. But that trend is changing.
Yeah.
What I have seen, and I actually saw this just the other day, I saw a young gal, probably 17 years old, with a 4 or 5 year old car.
Yeah. We're seeing newer vehicles, brand new vehicles.
A relatively newer vehicle. So when they're getting their insurance, a vehicle that new may need to be financed, most likely will need to be financed.
Yeah.
So another detail, a lien.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's a great example. Hey, my mortgagee needs proof of insurance. Great. Who's your mortgagee? Hey, I'm getting a loan. Okay, who is it with? What's the closing date? And how can I get the information to them? All things to help us more effectively serve your needs. You're busy. So if you get us all the information in one fell swoop, so we're not going back and forth with a bunch of questions, it's going to be easier for you in the long run. Doesn't matter to us. We're there all day. So we'll ask you questions and pester you until we get everything we need. But the best thing to do is just think about, okay, what kind of details are they going to need? Or I'm doing a refinance. It's going to be coming up next month as with this financial institution, and boom, that's going to get us just about everything we need to know. So the more detail you can provide, the better. Same goes for business insurance. Hey, I repair cars. Great. Where? On the side of the road, at the person's location, or do you have a facility you're renting, or do you own it? So all kinds of insurance needs detail.
All right, so we've got just a few seconds left here. We're going to flip this over. Maybe we can tie this into next week's chat. It's important for you to be told the details, okay? But on the consumer side of it, it's not just enough to know that you have insurance. You, too, need to know the details of your coverage.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear of insurance companies kind of getting a bad rap, and don't get me wrong, they can certainly deserve it and warrant it on their own merits, right? But I find that statistically, the biggest reason why insurance companies or the insurance industry as a whole gets a bad rap is because expectations are beyond what the contract is. And that's because, again, details are missing. You don't necessarily know what you have. They had a great news story on the news last night about people in Florida with a hurricane that are dealing with significant issues with claims. And some of them are completely validated. And some of them, I think, is just because they didn't have the proper coverage and didn't know it. So it's about just understanding what you have.
That's right. All right. So for more info, contact Mike.
748-5224. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, and YouTube, and Instagram, actually. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
And join us Tuesday mornings, 8:35, Good Policies. Headed to Joy Oladokan together with Noah Kahan on Magic.
God bless you.